Good morning. Welcome to NUFC TV breakfast show with me and my right-hand man, the Muddy Win. Bless him. He's had a busy morning
Good
this morning,
morning.
so it is.
Good
Good
afternoon,
morning.
wherever you are.
Yeah, exactly. It is the breakfast TV, even though we come on midday, because we are literally just looking at what's happening over the last 12 or so hours, if you like, because I mean, you never know, especially with Newcastle. Newcastle seem to just drop things out of the blue. So our channel now, we're going to try and keep up to date, as well as obviously any news that's dropping that's useful for you guys. We're going to do the odd ad hoc bulletin, sky breaking news type of thing, and go from there. So what I'll do before we start or go anywhere else, I'm just going to do some homework and make sure that everybody's on the understanding of what we've got to do while you're watching the channel. So again, welcome to all that's watching across all the platforms. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks to all the mods working tirelessly in the background. As always, they don't get the recognition they deserve. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoy the show, and also give us the dislike if you don't. It just helps us to grow further as a channel to other NUFC supporters. Subscribe, it's totally free. Hit the bell for future content. If you want to support the channel and make us grow, become a member. It's a small monthly fee, and that will give you a chance of winning some prizes. We did give away a couple of T-shirts not long ago to two of our lucky contestants, I suppose you can call them. Like I say, have a look at our webpage. There ain't a lot on there at the moment, as in up-to-date stuff, because there isn't a lot going on behind the scenes. But like I say, it is ad-free. So if you want to read about any of the NUFC news that's come our way, it's on there. And like I say, we do it literally just for the love of the club. If you've got anything to ask me or Win, put a Q in front of the question, and then from there we can highlight it and we can talk about it. But again,
And
apologies.
good morning to Bill. Good afternoon to BT, Mighty Mark, Benjamin, all the way from not Pittsburgh. You're Philadelphia, aren't you, Ben?
Philadelphia, yeah, Philly Ben.
Kenny W. Trulls in there as usual. Hi, Trulls. Warren Dinning becoming a regular now. There's Ian in. Mighty Mark. I don't think I've missed anyone there. If I have, I apologise. But welcome, one and all.
Indeed. But again, apologies if we don't mention all of the chat, because obviously I know you guys just like to chat amongst yourselves. What we'll do, we'll try and have a look through it. Myself or my mate Win will highlight or star it, so we can come back to it as the show goes on. But like I say, it's not there's not a great deal going on in the background. But anybody that wants to, like I say, become a member, you will be highlighted, and all gifted memberships will be obviously spoken to as well and applauded. But like I say, if you want to guarantee your message read out on the show, then use the $sign, follow the instructions, and we will oblige. Right then, matey, me and you have been having a bit of a chat in the green room, obviously about how quiet it is, what's happening in the background. And I mean, I know me and you have often said we sometimes like it when it's quiet.
Yep, well, I do, particularly.
Because you obviously know there's going to be some type of storm coming your way. Guys, before we go any further, what I was going to say is, I know you guys like a bit of banter in the chat. What you've got to remember, it is the school holidays in the UK, and if there is children watching, I just want you to all be careful on what you put in the chat, because obviously if there's any language in there, it won't be shown on screen and it won't be mentioned. So if you want to be involved, then please try and keep it as clean as you possibly can. I'm going to apologise before I go any further, because I have got a house full of children that are in the background. So if you hear any strange noises, then I apologise for that. Sorry, mate. Yeah. So what we was discussing in the green room was you've got some info on what that's been made in the Chronicle. You were saying
Yeah.
about like obviously the white flag has come out and a bit of peace talk between the backroom staff. So I'm going to leave it to you, my friend. You can introduce that one, and we'll see where we go from there.
Well, Paul Mitchell has arrived in Japan, and we all heard Eddie's press conference last week that everybody was getting all hot and bothered about regarding how things were going to work now that Paul Mitchell had arrived on the scene. Well, he's been having a word in Japan, and Eddie said it's not about having a final say, it's about collaboration. We have had positive talks and we are trying to bring the right players to the football club, but it's never about one person's decision. So he's saying they've had positive talks over transfers, and that kind of means to me that he's definitely staying. Because it's all been a bit up in the air. Is he going to go to the England job? Is he not? Da-de-da. But it would appear that Howard and Mitchell reading off the same page. High hopes that Newcastle can progress on deals to bring in a centre-back and a forward in time for the big kickoff. Howe stated that nothing was close and he didn't want to give the fans false news. However, meetings are planned in Tokyo between Howe Mitchell and Darren Eales as Newcastle look to get business done before the opener against Southampton. And also expecting some outgoing business. He says that we'll be doing minimal training, but the games take more prominence as you go deeper into pre-season. I'm looking forward to seeing how the team gels, getting the international players back and a bigger group back together. Hopefully 2 really good performances, and then we go into the real final part. So that's what Eddie had to say. So it would appear all quiet on the Western Front, and Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe are playing nicely.
Yeah, I mean, it's good
Paddy
to hear,
Darren
isn't it?
watches on.
Yeah, it is good to hear, I must admit, because when you look at obviously the past, I suppose, I mean, I'm going to say unrest, but I don't know whether it is unrest. I just think it was a case of a new team coming together, and it needed that I don't know, brainstorm to get everybody singing from the same hymn sheet, I suppose. At the time of the interview with Eddie Howe, we probably did feel as though he'd had his wings clipped a little bit because obviously the selling of Anderson and Minte. Obviously, he made that completely clear that he didn't want to lose those 2 lads, especially the way we did.
But
Um,
he did say it had to be done.
he understood. Yeah, absolutely. He did say he understood.
He absolutely understood the situation.
Absolutely. And
So,
that's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. But
I've thought since it happened that this is people just trying to stir the shit, make mountains out of molehills, and that, you know, unless Eddie went to England, which again, he'd be perfectly entitled to do, as I've said before.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
got
yeah.
to be the pinnacle of any English manager's ambitions to
Yeah, yeah.
manage the national team. So no one could blame him for doing that. But I said at the time, you know, I just didn't think he would fancy that kind of job. He likes working on
The
the
day-to-day.
grass with the players and improving them. Now he gets his kick out of improving players, and we've seen how well he does that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I get to that point now where I I want to see them start gelling, and I think they're not going to see that until these transfers start to appear. Because I think what you're going to get then is that that jigsaw puzzle complete, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure.
except that against Hull, I thought there was some nice movement going on. Okay, it's only Hull. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
you've always got to qualify it with that. But we had some lovely moves going on there.
We did. I mean,
Uh,
and that's like I keep saying to people, you can only play what's in front of you. Because you know, I got slated about in the background about putting Minte's goals on our chat. I say slated, but you know, people will always question the opposition, and that's not Minte's fault, is it? You know, if he's playing
no, no.
farmers and postmen, He's out there to do a job. What I'm saying to you is it just shows the type of talent the lad's got. Now, if he can produce that in the Premiership, then he's going to be a lad going forward,
Well,
isn't
he's got 2-2 for Brighton so far, so he's doing okay, isn't
Absolutely.
he?
Yeah. He knows where the net is, the lad does. I mean, like I say, I only see, and say what I see. I don't want to bully him up any more than he needs to, because I do think there's potentially a good player in there. Whether he can do it in the Premiership and it's not just a one-off, he's got to do it on a regular basis. Then we'll only time will tell regarding that. But from the point of view of, like, whoever you, what I'm trying to say before, whoever you bring in now, if that player, it's like, say if Paul Mitchell highlights a player that Eddie Howe doesn't know about. If Eddie Howe then decides, yes, we'll go with that player comes in and he hits the ground running, that straight away cements the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah.
Because what Eddie Howe's got to do now as the manager, and I keep saying this, he's the manager and he'll be the only one that gets sacked out of all this. He has got to really give a lot to Mitchell, a lot of trust to Mitchell to get this right. Because we all said at the end of last year, before Mitchell even come on board, this is a year for Eddie to show. Because if he
Yeah.
doesn't show, there's going to be question marks, isn't there?
And
And I think,
despite me being an absolute staunch backer of Eddie, I will be asking questions come Christmas if we're not right up there.
yeah. I mean, like I say, for me, it's glad to see that they've had clear the air talks, and I mean, I'm hoping that continues and it grows with, like I say, the transfer market, if you like. And I think that's what they've got to do now. They've just got to become brothers, because between the three of them, and I'm saying the James Bunce as well, the performance man, they've got to get their heads together and they've got to make this work. And like I say, whether it means that somebody's just got to sit back and take it on the chin, and when I say somebody, that will, or sounds like it's going to be Eddie to a degree. I think he's got to trust the process, and it's a word that I don't always want to say because we've been saying it for such a long time now. Trust the process. But he has
Well,
got to start giving.
Interestingly, Truls is in the chat here,
Yeah.
and he says,
Oh,
"So we are
sorry,
linked."
I've just clicked it again. Sorry, I've just put my finger on it. Say again, mate.
There we go. Said we are linked with a Sheffield United striker, 21 years old, and to be honest, it doesn't make me go yes.
No,
To be fair, and I think
no.
that's fair comment.
Yeah.
But what you got to bear in mind right now is that it's highly unlikely that Callum Wilson will be going anywhere this window because with his new injury,
Yeah.
he's probably not going to be fit before the window shuts. So whoever we are getting in is going to be like third striker. And funnily enough, we've got some stuff lined up for Will Asula is the name of the young man, 20 years old, played 15 games for Sheffield last year, but didn't score. But we have got
coming third striker that we would potentially look at bringing in, because having spoke yesterday about Callum Wilson, and again, we don't know the true extent of Callum's injury. I know he's had this procedure, and whether he's had his disc bulge sorted, I don't know, or whether it is just an injection. Because whatever you read or whoever you listen to, there's so many variants of the same story. Some say it was just an
and he's
injection, a
right-footed,
steroid
by the way,
injection.
according to
Well,
Transfermarkt.
he certainly likes to swing his left foot, and he doesn't
As I
look too
say,
bad on his left foot.
any facts I'm giving you about Willisula are just not through personal knowledge. I can't say that I've seen him ever.
No, I don't think a lot of
we're
people
just
would have.
going on what's said there.
Yeah. And I think, going from what we saw yesterday, and what we were saying yesterday about Wilson, yes, that does hamper any movement of him going out. but it also hampers him if he has had a procedure on his back, because it's going to be 3 months. Well, I'm going to say 12 weeks, because that would be a typical recovery from a disc bulge job. It would have been a minimum of 12 weeks. So that's 3 months. I mean, that's not the first 4 games, but obviously it depends on when he had the procedure. Because, I mean, obviously we've only just heard that he's had this procedure. He may have had it at the end of last season. You got me?
Well, yesterday was the first time I'd heard this bulge on a disc.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That doesn't mean that it hasn't.
Specifically referred to.
Because we both said, Newcastle are very good at keeping the information to themselves. And when we heard it was just a procedure, we all said, we were all guesstimating what it could have been. And it doesn't always go from there. Good evening, Malcolm out there in New Zealand.
Good evening from New Zealand. Well, Malcolm, if you've only just discovered the channel, you may not be aware that on a Wednesday night, we do a worldwide show where we would like all of our international supporters to join us in the studio. So if you'd be interested in doing that, visit the website, NUFCtalk.tv. Leave your details and we'll get in touch with you and give the link to come and join us on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be.
Because we haven't had a Kiwi on yet.
No,
plenty oranges and lemons, but no Kiwis.
Right then, let's have a quick look at what we've got before we move on to the next thing. See if anybody's saying anything about the young lad that you was talking about. I don't think they have, actually. Warren Dinnings, just going on where I broached last night. We are apparently in phase 2 on the business side.
Oh, you've just been asked, by the way, by Kenny. Is that you wearing your feather top?
Yeah, I did acknowledge it by putting it up. It's like the negative to the the white and green and blue one, which I've also got, which was a bit of a surprise. It's what the kids bought me. So it was a lovely surprise, because I was on the shelf with that one. I wasn't 100% sure whether I'd like it or not. I certainly liked the black one because it was one that I hadn't seen. And then when I'd seen that the missus had ordered me one, I was, yes, get in. I love that one. But then all of a sudden the coloured feathered one come, and I put it on yesterday. All I'm going to say is it looks a lot better on than it does off. So I do like it. But I will probably wear that one tonight, because obviously I only put the tops on for the shows. I don't have them on all day long. So what was going to say there? Trolls. So we are linked with the Sheffield United. You've said that one, so I'm going to keep that one. There is another player that we're linked to, which is where I'll go and talk about in a minute. Question from BT. Morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, BT. As Kouli's going on loan for the 3rd time this coming season, does this need to be a successful one? Otherwise, he will be sold on. The way it looks to me, buddy, is Kouli isn't in the picture anymore. I think this will be him going into the shop window to be sold on. That's the way I look at it now. I think he's had a few, a couple of seasons that haven't gone well for him. Now, you can blame whoever you like for that. You can blame change of management halfway through, as what happened last season. You could blame players' attitude, the fact that he's just not, used to or willing to push himself to that next level. You can also blame a little bit of homesickness for a young kid like that. He's a long way from home when he come over here, and then obviously being shipped out to Hearts could take a massive effect on you. But that's what I said. It's all about
the reason,
attitude,
of course,
and appliance.
One of the main reasons they chose Hearts for him to go to was because there was 2 Aussies already at Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. So it would make it a little bit more comfortable for him. But again, it's his attitude and approach to that, isn't it? And that's what I'm saying. So you're absolutely right, mate. I do think this could be his final straw, if you like.
But I haven't actually seen anywhere officially that he is going on loan. The only thing that suggests that he probably is the fact that he went to Germany, to the Adidas training camp, and he played, albeit half a game, over there. But he hasn't gone to Japan, which means to me, as you've just said, that he ain't going to make the grade.
Or they don't want to risk injury. If they're not looking at him just being in the academy and they want to push him out to loan, the likes of the other two that hasn't gone to Japan, and I'm trying to think of the name now. I mentioned it last night, but I told you my brain is absolutely useless.
One of the young kids.
The two young kids,
Well,
Pivos,
there's 5 of
Madriog
them.
Pivos. So he's definitely looking to go out on loan. And who's the other lad? That's not Ashby.
We've got the full squad here.
Not Heffernan, because Heffernan's gone out there. It'll come to me in a minute. But like I say, there's a couple of lads that have been left home because they are more or less being pushed out there. Because I know there's a lot of Championship players. Sorry, a lot of Championship and League One teams that are vying for one of them. Is it Ashby? I might be completely wrong there.
Well, Harrison Ashby's definitely out.
Yeah, he's out there, isn't he? Yeah. I'm just thinking of. I can't think of who that lad's name is. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, it's not important. But yeah, going back to your question, BT, I do think there is definitely some thoughts of him going out this season, one way or the other. At this present moment in time, the lad hasn't filled me with anything of promise. I mean, I've only seen Zanussi a couple of times, and he gives me a lot more of a, oh, this lad can do something more than Koalas. And again, I don't know whether that's attitude. I don't know whether that's ability, because I think you have to have the attitude and an application to actually push yourself forward. And I just, at this present moment in time, he's not filling me full of confidence on that. And Kenny's come in with this one. The club has signed up a Japanese bridge where you're seeing the Macam in Japan. Have you seen that?
Have you ever seen a Macam in Japan?
Yeah, that's brilliant. That was, I must admit. So apologies to any Macams in the show. It's just banter. It's just
not really.
Yeah. And I was just going to go because, like I say, you guys are just chatting amongst yourselves. So I'm just going to have a quick look before we go any further. Oh, question from Bilbao. And there's a question from Luke. So I'm just going to talk about these. Bilbao, can I correct you? I heard you say on a number of occasions that Eddie's title of head coach, not manager. Okay. So what you corrected?
Is he trying to say that he is manager?
No, he's the head coach, which is what the title is now. But I mean, God, Bilbao, if you want to be that pedantic, my friend, then fine. It's just an old saying. I'm an old guy. You know what I mean? I don't go with the new titles. But he is the manager of the team. And you can call it whatever you like. You can wrap him up in cotton wool for all I care, my friend. I'm not gonna sit here and argue that the fact that he's not a head coach or a manager. He's got a role to play within the team. And it's not literally just putting the 11 out there. That's what I'm trying to say. But thanks for your input, my friend. I'm not trying to be funny and, like I say, create a problem. Luke M, regarding Wilson, if we can sign Kelly while he's injured, why can't we sell Wilson while he's injured? Well, nobody knows about Kelly, to be fair, whether he actually was injured when he come or whether it was a niggle that he picked up, because apparently it was just a muscle strain that he did when he was out running. He had a little bit of a twinge, and that's the report that I heard. I don't know how true it is, because there's a lot of people out there that actually talk a lot of garbage. But they may be correct. They may have heard it from somewhere, because there's obviously somebody. There's always a mole at every club that leaks some information somewhere along the line. So I don't think Kelly was injured when he came. I think it was while he was road running. He had a little bit of I don't know whether it was a calf strain or a quad strain that he had treatment on. And that's why Eddie decided to not stretch him too much in any of the pre-season games so far. But I'm hoping now we'll start to see a little bit more of him out in Japan. Because Because to me, if you're not going to see him, there's no point in taking him, because he could have stayed. He could have stayed here and continued with his treatment and stuff. So
So the younguns that have gone to Japan with Kual being left at home are Heffernan, Jamie Miley, Harrison, Sanusi, Turner Cook, and Parkinson.
yeah.
And Parkinson's a surprise to me, really, because I thought he'd had his chance and they'd given up on him more or less, but it looks as though they're still persistent. Obviously, because we're so struggling in the striking department as well, of course, that has a lot to do with it. But
wow, I'll tell you something now. This is. I was just reading this, and I don't know where Ryan. What are you talking about, Ryan? What a load of rubbish this shows how low your standards are. Wow, you wouldn't think we had a takeover. Mate, you've lost me.
well, what he's
Okay.
saying is that we've dropped our standards, or the standards that we were expecting when the takeover happened. Hasn't it? If we are sitting quite content at the minute, it means we've lowered our standards. Well, that's just
Well,
not true at all, because
no,
all I'm
I don't
saying
think that.
is just bide your time, man. There's plenty of
There's
time
lots of
to do
There's lots
business.
to iron out in the background. That's the problem. That's what I said. You've got to understand, in all corporate business, whoever's the takeover. I mean, like I say, I've been in a business where we've just been taken over by a really big corporate investor, and they've changed everything. And I'm in the health industry, and that has an impact on everything. Letterheads, as daft as it looks, you can't put your information on a letterhead that hasn't got the right signage on now, and it takes a hell of a long time for that to get sorted. So, like I say, the standards haven't dropped. I just think we've just got to be a little bit patient out there, and hopefully you'll reap the rewards in a month's time, because we've still got a month before we have to start, panic buying if that's what happens. But I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks that these things
I don't think there'll
they'll
be
be
any
ironed out.
panic buys.
Well, I hope not.
Don't think
I
there'll
hope
be
not.
any panic buys
Uh,
at all.
Ken Robinson. We at the minute have 5 goalkeepers, 5 players who play left back, none at right. I think that's right back, is it? Miggy and
Right
Murphy at
centre
right
half, I
wing.
think.
Is it right centre half? Well, you've got Kraft
Well, so
out
we've
there,
got
and we've
Kraft and
got
Shea who can play
Cher.
right centre half.
Yeah. Isaac at
And
centre
the
forward
young lad Murphy.
stinks of mismanagement and even worse planning to me. I don't know. I mean, you've got to understand. Like I say, these tours, if you class them as a tour, isn't out there to enrich with football. It's out there to sell the club. What these guys are looking for now is to push the club out in the Far East to get shirt sales. If anybody saw Brighton go over there, that one Mitoma, when
Commercial
he got off
revenue.
the plane, it was ridiculous. The amount of shirts with Matoma, Brighton shirts, that were waiting for him in the airport alone, in the foyer. The lad was like being ushered through, and everybody was screaming Mitoma. Now, I know we haven't got a Japanese player playing for us, or a Far Eastern player playing for us, but what I'm saying to you is, to push the commercial side of the business, it's just for shirt sales, guys. It's just for that extra support. Don't take on board the team that's taken out there, because, like you saw against Hull, when he puts a side out there, it can work, and it's proven that in the pre-season. Because, again, without knowing what the Burnley score was, we haven't had a bad start. Because I remember, was it last year or the year before, where we lost a couple of games in pre-season quite heavily? Can't remember.
No,
Was
well,
it last year or
it's a bit since we lost 6-0 to Leyton Orient, like.
Leyton Orient? Yeah, exactly. There has been a bit of a change since then, them days.
And went on,
But
by the
anyway,
way, then went on to finish 5th.
5th. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It isn't. all doom and gloom at the start of the season. BT's put here that Manchester United are now working on plans for 100,000 capacity stadium. Does this mean that Newcastle need a new 80,000 stadium? I don't think so, mate. I don't think so at all. I
No.
think that the biggest problem is the bigger the stadium, the harder it is to bloody fill it. Because if Manchester United now don't make it work and they go ahead with this £100 million stadium, it's easier to lose fans than to gain them. Now, I know people say to me, there's going to be fans always queuing up to get into Manchester United. There's a lot of out of Manchester fans go to Manchester United. And you've got to ask yourself whether they'd be willing to take the plunge. Now, I'm a lad who lives in the Midlands, and I would more than happily get on a train or get in my car and drive up to Newcastle to watch a game. And now I've retired from my career, and I have the ability to go up there now. I'm absolutely gutted that I gave my season ticket up. Because I know for a fact I will never get it back. So I'd love to see a bigger capacity stadium, but I wouldn't want it outside the city. So you've got to ask yourself how they could go about that now, because I'm sure, as Wynn lives not far from the ground, all of Newcastle want it to remain where it is. And whether that's sentimental or whatever you want, it's the pinnacle of the centre. It brings in lots of revenue to shops in and out the centre. So if that goes on the outskirts of Newcastle, you lose all that. You lose all that togetherness within the city. So, I don't know is the answer to that. I mean, I'd like to think that they can probably push it up to 70 at a push where they are. I very much doubt that. Especially if they can't obviously move it slightly into Leazy's Park, but who knows? Without knowing the full details of the plannings and everything else that is still to be finalised, then we're still a long way off that. Well, anyway, let's move on, because it looks as though there is a bit more in the chat. Oh, Ginger, welcome to the chat, my friend. I haven't seen your name before. Ginger Hoskins. Is this what the future is, buying kids with no talent? I thought this takeover would go fine. Top European talent, not a kid who can't score for the first team. And I think that's what everybody's going to be looking at. I mean, it's like this young lad that I'm going to bring on in a minute that we've been linked to. It is all the youth. And this is Paul Mitchell. This is Paul Mitchell's tale, if you like, of where he's been in the past. And like I said, until you see these guys play, and you can't blame him for not producing at certain individual clubs, because it's about creativity at the end of the day. Remember the time when he was at Spurs and he brought Son in? Nobody had ever heard of the kid, and everybody, even all the Spurs fans, were exactly like what the Newcastle fans are at the moment. Why is it all just young talent? But it's been future proof, mate. That's how I look at it now. It's been future proof. These aren't for first team footballers. These are support players. To support the academy.
We've got 10 years to catch up. We're 10 years behind everybody else.
And the rest, if you look at
14 years, if you like. In fact, every single year of Ashley's tendency was...
yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
We are so far behind now.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I say, don't be despondent, buddy. I mean, like I said, it is difficult to watch at the minute, because you do see a lot of the teams around us buying some stuff. But like I say, it doesn't mean. Am I right in saying that the two lads that they've bought have been injured at Man U already? I don't know how true that was, but somebody said that they'd been the young centre half got clobbered, and he's got to carry an injury now that they've just spent all that money on. So, like I say,
the two things that severely curtailed our growth, if you like, are the ridiculous injuries we had last year, and the Premier League's determination, through whatever means they can find, to prevent us getting into that top six. Although, as one of the chatters, we'll come to it eventually, one of the chatters put in, Sky are now referring to the big seven.
Well, I was going to come to that. That was my little story that I've read this morning. That Aston Villa and West Ham fans, and it's a shame Daniela isn't in the chat, because obviously we could ask her what she feels. Sky have had umpteen, apparently, thousands of complaints talking about the Big Seven now, which is inclusive of
That's the wrong
obviously
one.
Newcastle. Um, and I was gonna ask you, lads, is that like a to soften the blow from all the hype that and all the niggles that we've had in the past from Sky, especially because obviously there was a lot of reports from Sky when we were taken over that whether it will go ahead. I mean, obviously Keith Downey's, I always follow Keith, and I believe him to be as truthful as he possibly can. Um, and I've never really heard him say, but I've heard a lot of people on Sky talk about Toon Talk. Thank you, matey. That was part of my next topic, so we might as well talk about it now. So for me, yes, it's nice to be included, but does that make it? Does that make us the top seven? You know what I mean? At this present moment, have we proved ourselves to be top seven? And that's what I was going to ask you, buddy. Do you feel now, having had a season of fourth and seventh, and where did we finish in his half season when he took over from Bruce? Was it 11th? Was it
11th?
Um, do you feel now that we are hitting with the big guns?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have any. I am horizontally relaxed. I've never been so
Horizontally relaxed.
confident that we are on that we're on the way up. I've been going 63 years now, and I've never been as confident that we're actually going to, make that final step that we need to make.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean,
it's Scott Edwards to the rescue here for us against those doubting Thomases. We haven't lowered standard. It takes time to change a club when it was run by a penny pinching owner like Ashley.
absolutely.
And you're
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
spot on, Scott. Spot on, mate.
Yeah,
And
like I
I
say,
think
there's
Warren's looking for one of me infamous rants. He says, I don't understand all these doubting Thomases.
no.
Q win. Well, you'll have
Yeah,
to wait
exactly.
for that one. You'll
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to wait
That's in
for
the
that one.
pipeline. I mean, like I say, it
Because
is difficult.
I am getting sick and tired, by the way, of all of these doom and gloom merchants and looking to pick holes in every single little thing that we do. Why? Look on the bright side. If I go back, I honestly believe if we hadn't had those horrific injuries in the Tenali business last season, we would have been top four, comfortably top four.
Yeah, yeah.
We finished seventh, like 6 points behind, actually. 6 points behind with a skeleton squad. The 10
Yeah.
games in December did we. And, we never recovered from it, really. We kind of caught up at the back end when Barnes came back in and worked his magic. But it doesn't happen overnight. You've just
No,
got to be patient. But when I
absolutely. And
say
I think
patient,
that's
I'm
us.
talking about patient to win the title. As far as I'm concerned, we're already top four contenders.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I agree with you.
the rest have got to worry about us, not the other way around.
Yeah, I agree to you. Fully. I mean, like I said, for me to think at where we are now, don't forget it was a 5-year plan just to get us going. Um, and we've breached that. We've breached that completely. And now everybody's talking about us being a top four finisher, and potentially with the right buys now, with the right targets that we're hitting. And again, because it's all quiet, it does make you wonder what's coming our way. And I'm like Win. I can see something that's going to take us off our feet. I may be wrong, and I'm hoping I'm not, but you know, um, it could happen. And like I say, who's to say that we don't have a season where we're challenging for the title this year? Because there's a lot of change in these in the top three teams, apart from Arsenal. There's a lot of change happening around us. Pep's not had a good start of the season. If you look at, if we've got the doubters in the chat saying about, we're not playing, we're not doing this, we've not put the right team out there. I mean, look at what Chelsea's pre-season's gone like so far. It's not none of them are actually tearing up any trees because they're under new management. And like I say, things are going to change. What's Kun Bob say, buddy?
He's saying, "Go on, win. It's the best we've had it in yonks. I dare to dream now, and so do I, by the way, Kun Bob. Let them do their job. We're all over the moon getting Mitchell. Give them time to work." Exactly,
Absolutely,
exactly, exactly.
absolutely. Let's have a
And
few
then and then
because
and then and then we have the opposite view, of course, from Ginger. Another season of Miggy and Longstaff being available because we sold 2 players better than them, and the amount of youth we've taken to Japan shows we lack quality in a first team. Too many keepers. Oh well, you've obviously you must have run out of characters there,
yeah, he
Ginger.
did.
Ought
He
to
did. I'd looked at that one. I mean, I understand that. I do. That's what I said. I think that's the reasons why Eddie got a little bit frustrated because it is 2 good prospects that we sold. I mean, I put the figures up on the screen now about the amount of carries that Anderson did, and he was top of the tree on that. I mean, he wasn't
Yeah.
top of the tree with balls going forward, passes going forward, I should say. But he certainly was top of the tree with carries, and I think we do need that type of player, and that's why I hope Willock can start to show something in Japan now. But you,
There's Daniela. Daniela's in. Also, is Ian Toon Trader. Hello, Ian. Daniela Stewart's in again, our West Ham correspondent, and she thinks top 4 very much possible for Newcastle because of the competition out there.
exactly, and like I said, we've got to be positive, guys. We've finished, 4th and 7th with the team that we've got now, and that's like I say, with weak areas. We've said that all along, but these weak areas fill a gap when we are struggling, and like I said, Longstaff isn't the end product. We know that, and he'll be a substitute. I would hope for most of the season once Tonali is back and playing. So from September the 1st, we should have probably one of the best midfields in the division with the 3 that we've got because they all play totally differently, and you need that to get to break the opposition down.
Again,
Just going to go to one
it's
thing.
unfortunate that we've got like Lascelles and Botman still injured. But if you bring those back into the equation, our squad now is as good as I can ever remember it being
Oh, absolutely.
in terms of the quality on the pitch and the depth on the bench.
On the bench. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
don't forget when we played Hull, we had 9 players missing. I
yeah,
mean, that's nearly a
and
bloody
the
squad.
9 players that were missing formed a canny team.
That's what I said. You've nearly got a bloody good squad there that are missing. So you've got to take it for what it is. We ain't doing bad, guys. Let's have a look at a couple of the stars before I move on to the next player. Ken Robinson. I've done that one.
I've done that one.
Apologies. Yeah, I've done that one. That was one I starred earlier. Yeah, here's one. What about Joe White? What's happened to Joe White?
Well, no,
Now,
I was expecting Joe White to play at Hull.
yeah,
So
am they?
I don't know what's happened to Joe White because neither is he on the plane to Japan
No. So he could be out.
unless they've got another loan lined up for him.
Yeah, that's what I said. He could
Because
he
as I
could
say,
be
he
the
was
one.
at Crewe last season, and my pal's a Crewe fan, and he said he was brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, he did well. Yeah,
You
I
know,
watched a couple
albeit
of
in
games.
much lower standard.
Yeah, yeah. I watched. I mean, to be fair, the couple of cameo performances that he's put out for us, he hasn't done too bad.
No,
Again, it's a
he's
lad
looked
who's
clear.
still trying to find his way. But he's certainly improving year on year. Paul, guys, as hiya Gary and Mighty Win. I've got the same shirt as the Mighty Win 1993-94 home shirt. I don't care what players Newcastle sign as long as they play half decent football and fit into Eddie's plans. Yep, I couldn't agree more. And that is a canny shirt that our Win's wearing today. Like I say, he blends in beautifully with the background. Malcolm
Camouflage.
Baxter. Yeah.
I remember when I did my national service, we had this. We did camouflage training, and I slept in. So the sergeant major says, "I didn't see you with camouflage training this morning, Platten." Says, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, exactly. I'm over here. Bless you. Paul Baxter, he says, it depends what time it is here. I am proper Geordie from Wallsend, but have been living in New Zealand since 96. So, Malcolm, like I say, we tend to go online British UK time at 11 p.m. at night for the worldwide. Not sure what time that is over in New
Yeah, but
Zealand,
we
because obviously
also
it's early
we
morning, isn't
also do the occasional special around about lunchtime to fit, if we've got enough contributors from the various time zones that fit in. We'll work in with them.
it? Yeah, exactly. So, like I say, the best thing to do, Mark, is hit the bell, because obviously that will give you some idea of when we're around. So, like I say, you're more than welcome to get on board with the Worldwide Show, and like I say, have a discussion with us. So that's what we want. We want to grow the global audience as well as the local audience. Ginger Hoskins again. Gary, we bought this kid for a vid of him versus Barcelona, and he scored. But what Newcastle didn't know is he never played before that game.
Who's this kid?
I'm trying to think. Gary, we bought this kid off a vid of him versus Barcelona. Who's that, Ginge?
Who are you talking
Um,
about, Ginger?
Give us some idea, my friend, because I say I don't know who that is, my friend.
We've
Mag
got some
debates.
we've got some controversy in the chat here at the minute. We've got Daniela saying it's a big 9 now,
Yeah, well,
because
that's what I'm
she's
saying.
obviously got the big 6 with Newcastle, West Ham, and Villa. I assume is the other 3 that she's talking about, and I wouldn't
Absolutely.
necessarily go along with that. But now you're seeing somewhere. What's happened to that? Where was it? Nail Creed, who's a big 9. So I think I just answered that, actually.
Yeah.
Or
If you've got the big 7
9
with
push.
us.
Says a big 9, that's pushing it now. No, I
Yeah,
don't think it is. And it's the way it should be. We want the
Yeah.
Premier League to be the best
Competitive.
in the business. And the only
Absolutely.
way it can be that is if it's competitive and not a farmers
Yeah.
league like it is at the minute with Man City just walking away with everything.
Walking away with everything. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. It's up to the others and the Premier League to support the others, not just the the top 3 as
Yeah.
they always seem to look at, especially the red side of it.
The red cartel.
Yeah, indeed. Mag Debates here has just watched Asula score a hat-trick in an under-21s game. He is definitely worth a punt for 10 million as a backup, fast, direct, and a good finisher. So there you go. I mean,
Well,
again,
if you'd been on earlier, we showed the video.
I think that's what he's just said. He's on about.
All right.
I think he's on about.
I thought he'd seen it elsewhere.
I mean, he may have, but I mean, obviously, with that coming on board now, I would imagine he's just watched it with us. Clouds, multiple reports this morning that Newcastle are close to signing Malik Chow from AC Milan, with the fee reported at 35 million plus 5 million add-ons. Mate, this has been going on now for a few
I've
days.
seen umpteen reports,
Absolutely.
and basically, the way I see it right now, from everything and the multiple reports, Newcastle are not prepared to pay what AC Milan are asking for.
Well, I think AC Milan are looking for a minimum of 40.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thought, because don't forget, we all
I don't
thought
know what it works out at in euros, but apparently Newcastle offered £29.7 million, so that must be something significant in euros.
Yeah.
And the Milan spokesman said, we're too far apart. But Newcastle hierarchy have a history of being tough negotiators, and they will
walk away when you need to.
Pointless trying to negotiate if you're not prepared to walk away.
Absolutely. But I mean, like I say, it's not saying that it's not going to happen. It's just saying that, like I say, at this present moment in time, what surprises me though, Clouds, if I'm honest with you, is if there is some type of negotiation that's close to being a sale, especially for AC Milan, they wouldn't be playing Chow in their pre-season games if there was anything close, and he's playing. So for them to risk the potential £40 million sale for this player, then they're taking a hell of a gamble if they're thinking about getting rid of him. I was on the same wavelength, if I'm honest with you, of Foxy when he was saying, like, they obviously
Yeah,
had
well,
that
he was saying that they just sold one of the
one of their top
central
centre
defenders to
ofs.
Anderlecht, I
Yeah,
think it was.
yeah. And they've got a
And
replacement for him
yeah, and
with
that's and
Pavlovich, wasn't it?
yeah, well, Pavlovich is all but done deal. I still haven't seen that it's a done deal yet,
Yeah.
but that will be one of the keys in unlocking Chow being able to move.
Yeah, exactly. Hells has just said, guys, I'm using my phone and typing with my fat fingers, so slow. So if I have missed anyone, I apologise.
Oh, that'll be them all saying hello to one another in the chat. Good God.
Absolutely. So again, guys, it is difficult. I know. I have the same problems. I had some major issues electronically the other day when we were watching the live watch along, and people in the chat were saying that we were crackling on the background. There was some glitches happening across all three of us apparently the other day. But don't forget, we have got the live watch along at 11:15 on Wednesday for the first, uh, obviously, live match in Japan. So if you're around and want to be with us, then you're more than welcome. Trolls has put on, Shaola needs to go. He sends players to the run clubs. Better for Kowal to play with
Yeah,
our under
well,
21s.
there is a lot of consternation, shall we say, about how good a job Shola's done. I think there's only really Anderson who you could argue has come out of the loan in a good light.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
his spell with Joey Barton at Bristol, and they were calling him the Geordie Messi down in Bristol.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Gingers are coming again as a club. By not improving our quality the first team, we fall behind the front pack who buy better players every season. Why can't our board see that? Like I said, it's not
well,
buying the quality names, because if you look at a lot of these big superstars, let's just look at Man United. They paid 80 million for Anthony. And has he been anything that you can shake a stick at? I don't think so. And to be fair, you've got to understand that he was at Ajax with Ten Hag. So he knew the player inside out. That's why he pushed for the sale.
who?
Bringing in big names doesn't always work, my friend. So, like I say,
No, no.
I'd rather
I'm
see.
saying hand on heart. Who had heard of Isaac Botman or Bruno before we signed them?
Well, I certainly
Because I
hadn't.
certainly hadn't.
No, I hadn't.
They weren't on my
So,
radar at all.
like I said, it's not
And if we
always
can
the
get
big
another
names that
four
you
like
want.
those four, I'll be a happy, happy bunny.
Yeah, exactly. Ian Two Trader, this is the last one before we move on to the next subject. All right, Win and Gary, great to hear yous being positive, lads, as we have been, as we have to believe that the owners want to get quality in, as we all do. And
Spot
that's
on,
exactly right,
Ian. Yeah.
matey. Yeah, absolutely. Win, can I ask you to have a look through while I'm putting the next bits up? If there's anything that's, apart from them chatting amongst themselves, if you see anything, my friend,
All
whack it
right, the
up on the
chat you mean,
screen
yeah.
for us. Yeah. And then we can, or star it, and then we can go back to it. Right. So I noticed this morning that we'd looked at Michael Coyote as a potential. And if anybody knows Michael Coyote or don't know him, he is a right-sided midfielder. Excuse me. Plays for Fiorentina. He's 20 years old, 179, so he's about 5'11", just under 6 foot. He's plays his position is defender, so they look at him more of a maybe a right wing back, because he can play both as a defender and a midfield right. And as you can see by his heat zone there, he certainly gets down the field very well, and he covers quite a lot of ground. Um, this obviously goes on to the question that we raised yesterday. Again, if this link is true, it seems to be from a decent source, so that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. This then still puts that question mark about Trippier, whether he's actually staying or going, because obviously now we are looking to bolster as well the right side of defence. And to be fair, as again we all know, and obviously the lads have put it in the chat there about that the lads that have gone out in Japan, very heavily loaded on the left hand side. So this potential, like I say, is a very good prospect. Plays, like I say, literally across the right-hand side. Now, again, this is the type of player I was alluding to before. If you look at Hall, that can play that wing-back position. If you play three across the back, again, that's a potential for us going forward. Quite nice stats in defence with his tackling and his defending. His creativity is mid-range, nothing spectacular. So let's compare him to somebody. Who shall we compare him with? Shall we go Tino? Let's have a look at him against Tino. Oh, I better put Livramento. I've spelled that wrong, haven't I? How do you spell it? That's it. Tino Livramento.
That's it.
Valentino.
Valentino Livramento.
So if you look at Tino's compared to this lad, very, very similar. But it does look like, the lad that's coming in has a better all-round game. So Tino's classed on here. Now this is only SofaScore, so it's not I would say conclusive. But according to their stats, 74-64 defender in favour of this lad, Coyote. Technical,
so
tackling
in the green,
is, yeah, Coyote's in the green. So for 65 to 48 in tackling. Technical ability, 54-49. Attacking, better, 47-42. But this is what I like, is the creativity look. He's not much better, but he's better than Tino. And if you look at what a lot of the critics have said about Tino, what he's got to develop more now is the end product, if you like, the crossing, because he fails terribly when and again, you've got to be careful that we're not looking at Trippier, because obviously that's Trippier's starlight, if you like, because obviously he's that end product, where Trippier and Tino, you need to look at where each strengths are. I think Tino is a better ball carrier than Trippier. He's obviously got the legs for that. He gets up and down the pitch. But this lad looks a promising prospect if it is true, and he's coming our way. I'm just having a look at. He averaged at 7.03, just over 7. Had a couple of poor games by the looks of it here, but again, you don't play every single game perfectly. So he's played 26, started 22, average of 79 minutes. He was in the team of the week once. He scored a goal, which is okay, I suppose. Scoring frequency doesn't really matter because we don't expect him. He doesn't get many shots off, so that's not his strength. So let's go down to where we want to see, because we want to obviously see some of his passing and tackling. So assists, he's got 1. Expected assists is just over 1, so he's just on par with that. He gets a lot of touches. He's had he's made 1 big chance. So again, if you look at the accuracy per game, is 87% with his passing. So probably that can improve slightly, because obviously you'd want that more to the 50 mark. But again, you only play as good as the lads you're playing around. A lot higher in his own half. He seems to be a lot tidier. In the opposition half, again, I think this is excuse me, this is the area that he can be better, even though it's above the 50% percentile. So it's not massively wrong, but you want it to be a bit more on the creative side. And again, everything else is on and around the halfway mark. Again, maybe something that you could get a little bit better of. But on his defending, interceptions, again, nothing great in them numbers. Tackles per game of 2. Again, you don't know how many times or how many. This doesn't show you how many duels he's lost compared to the ones that he's won. So these figures aren't absolutely, outstanding. Balls recovered per
I tell
game
you
is
what, Gary,
4.
just out of interest, can you
Yeah.
do a comparison with Sean Longstaff?
Well, he doesn't play in that position.
Well, kind of.
Well, no, because Sean doesn't play midfield right, does he? He plays inside right in the 3, doesn't he? I know he plays into these channels up and around the penalty area here, but I think you're going to give the lad a bit of an injustice. And to be fair, what this
No,
does
no,
here, if you
I mean, regularly see Sean in that attacking quadrant there where Coyote is.
so there you go. So against Sean Longstaff, I mean, like I say, I think this is probably giving him a little bit of an injustice because Sean will be better in certain parts like creativity and attacking because that's obviously where Sean pops up and
But
creates.
the
But
point is, there's not a lot
technically,
there. There's not a lot
no, no,
there at the top
no, no.
end, and he's obviously doing a lot more defensive work.
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, where you'd want Coyote to be stronger, he is. Um, where you want Sean to be stronger, he is. So, you're right, though. There's very little
But
between them.
barely.
Yeah, very little between them.
Mm.
So, like I say, he isn't he isn't like setting the world alight. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just going to have a look at some of the games. So he got a 7.1 there. So let's have a look against Monza. See where he played against Monza. So if you there you go. So started the game, was substituted, and again, he obviously wasn't having a bad game, considering he was a 7.1. But again, that could be just the manager just trying to protect the youngsters. So you've got to take it for what it is. But as you can see on here, he was on the bench for a lot of the games. Let's have a look at this one because obviously this is a poor game. They obviously against Atalanta 6.84. So let's see who he was playing against. So Ruggeri and Coop Miners, and obviously
Well, he
Lookman
was
would have
playing
come and
against Nicolas
attacked them.
Gonzalez, wasn't he?
Gonzalez, yeah, exactly. So
And that's who
you've
we're after, allegedly.
where's Gonzalez? Are
Is
you
that Nick?
playing with him? You mean?
I thought you said they were playing against Atlanta.
No, they are playing against Atalanta, but Gonzalez plays for Fiorentina.
Of course he does, man. Who am I thinking of? Is that Atlanta?
Well, you've got Coop
Um,
Miners, who's obviously really technical. You've got Lookman, who's very good up front. Ademaloa Lookman. And obviously you've got Ruggeri, Matteo Ruggeri. So between these three, they would have put a lot of pressure, I would imagine, on these two here. And obviously Coyote didn't have a very good game against them. But, like I say, he's still learning his trade. And for me, I know people are going to say, why are we looking at youth and youngsters? And again, it's about, for me, future proof. Bring in a couple of the younger ones that are going to be there and learn the trade. Rather, and I often say, it's much easier to look at and train a junior player into what you're expecting them than it is to retrain a more senior player into what you're expecting, unless they already play in that type of team anyway. And I mean, if you look across the board now, there's so many teams out there that play a similar style to Eddie. So like I say, he's one that I've noticed. Apart from the same names that are out there that we're linked to, it could be a potential. He looks promising. Like I say, he's not a name that's going to rock your jeans or any point like that because it's not. It's not something that's I suppose when you look at it, he's not a big name again. And again, as Win has just said, we hadn't heard of our major amazing signings when they come through the door. So it could be a case of just waiting and seeing how it all pans out. So I suppose it's like watch this space, isn't it?
Watch this space, sadly, yeah.
W-
For the time
Uh,
being, till they get all their ducks in a row, and then it'll be bang, bang, bang.
So I'm just going to go into obviously having a look at the lads coming into Japan now. So, while is there anything in the chat that we need to just have a quick look at, buddy? While I'm going out on that, see
There's
if
a
you.
lot of people correcting me on my ignorance of Atlanta, getting Atlanta and Fiorentina mixed up. Thanks
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that, boys.
Um, so yeah, while Wynn's doing that, I'm just going to share this because this to me was typical Japan, and it did make me giggle this morning when the lads were going into the hotel. Have a look at this. This was quite strange. Just turn that off because you don't want the music. There you go. I mean, where else would you have dinosaurs at reception, apart from in Japan? It's a bit surreal, isn't it? I mean, being checked in by dinosaurs. Oh wow, crazy. But I thought that was quite funny. Funny, only in Japan. Um, And the other thing that I was going to show you, because you've already done the thing about the Big Seven, and I was going to show you. Oh, hold on. Let me just stop there, and I can bring that in. Sorry, guys, it takes a little bit of time because I'm only working off one little screen and a laptop, so I was just
Darren Lee
just
there. I think we haven't made a move for anyone, which is worrying. Still thinking how could walk in August for the England job. Well, I kind of think after the statements that have just been made today, or yesterday, reported today, that's looking less and less likely to happen.
yeah, absolutely. So what you can see on the screens now, guys, is welcome to Japan. I think this is amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. Yeah, and this is the publicity that we want, isn't it? Our badge and Adidas being obviously resounded across all of the screens, and it's the old badge as well, which is what I love. It's that nostalgia as well, isn't it? So
My
there's
God, they've got
obviously,
it down there, haven't they?
yeah, haven't they just? I think that's absolutely
I'm
amazing. I
assuming
really do.
that's for real and not photoshopped.
No, that's real. That's absolutely. It's on. It's even on Newcastle United's webpage.
All right.
Welcome to Japan.
My
So
God.
yeah, that is real. I was gobsmacked when I saw that. Absolutely love that. And again, you only get that stuff in Japan, don't you? And like I say,
So I guess that means we're probably playing in the green kit over there.
well, it'd be nice to see what kit they do play in, if I'm honest. Because like I was told, I mean, obviously for the punters, there's been some massive delays on the away kits, on the hooped and the white. So it'll be surprising if we do play there because I mean I say surprising. I would imagine the football club's got their kit. It's just going to be the manufacturers selling it out to the general public because
That's
that's been delayed massively.
me saying that they're getting their ducks all in a row and then pop, 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 pop. And
Yeah,
Queenie's
exactly.
saying, just a disclaimer, no ducks were harmed in the
No
making of this
ducks.
podcast
Absolutely,
or any of
absolutely.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. So, what I was going to do now is I would imagine this has been seen by everybody, but I just thought there's not a lot of news out there. To be fair, the lads are obviously all being happy-go-lucky in Japan. I mean, obviously there's pictures out there, and again, go on to Newcastle websites, Newcastle United websites, if you want to see the lads all getting together in Japan. What was lovely was Bruno, the Bruno and Joe Linton cuddle was stunning. You can tell that them guys are close, and I think from that aspect, I think Bruno tenure with us will continue for a while, I hope, because he certainly has got some really close friends within the club.
That's right.
But
And
what I
if, as I
did,
suspect, we become super successful, he'll not be going anywhere. We've got him for a
yeah,
long
exactly,
time.
yeah, exactly. What I did want to show you though was a little bit of fun, and I'm going to say fun, some humour from the days past, and this was an interview with Steve Watson that he did when we had Aussie R Dealers as a manager, and some of what happened during a training session. So I'm
Yes,
just gonna put it up on the
good
screen
story.
because it is, and like I say, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there,
And is it not Steve Howe as opposed to Steve
oh,
Watson you're
sorry,
talking
it's
about?
Steve O. It's Steve O,
Yeah.
isn't it? Sorry, that's me again. Me with names.
Quality.
And he
By the
turned
way, I
round and
fully recommend you go and watch this. There's even 2 parts, an hour and an hour and a half. It's
yeah, there is the
absolutely
interview.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Under the
absolutely.
cosh.
Yeah, and he obviously and the only reason I want to put this on there is because there's a lot of doom and gloom around the fans at the moment, and I appreciate that because it does feel as though we are treading water a little bit at the moment. But like I say, I don't think at this present moment in time we've got a lot to worry about. I just think we've just got to be a little bit patient. But I'm just going to go with this, just to I missed it miserably. So, like I said, I didn't want to end the show on doom and gloom because, like I say, there isn't a lot out there. But I do believe this tour will be a very very good way commercially for us to extend the business on the revenue side of things. Um, so, matey, while I've been doing my little stint, have you got anything to finish the show off with? Any
No.
chat?
Just Jonathan shows how obviously, as opposed to however, you've got some predictive text there. How's going nowhere, and I am confident with who we have in charge that we'll get the right players for our club. We're in safe hands. It's not Lee
Yeah,
Charnley in charge anymore. Well said,
that's
Jonathan Shaw.
absolutely. And I think on that, we should end the show, I suppose. Like I
Yeah.
say, we can only talk about what's in front of us, guys. And again, some people will say, well, you're reiterating the facts that are common knowledge to everybody. We only plug what we think is from a decent source. We don't go with a lot of the nonsense that you see out there. So, like I say, we can only give you the information that we've got in front of us. But I would like to
There was
thank.
a few people in the chat saying that they thought all this chow business, with it dragging on for so long and taking as long, was one of our famous smoke screens, and that
Yeah,
all of a sudden, out of the blue, we'll have another spot on right centre back,
yeah. And that's what I said.
and that would not
Y-
surprise me one little bit.
Yeah, it may be nobody that we've looked at so far. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying, and that's exactly the same as the right-sided midfielder, or the right winger, whichever way you want to call it. Um, there seems to be a hell of a lot of names being bandied around, and I don't know where they get these names from, because, like I say, there's somebody must be giving information out somewhere. And like Wynn's just alluded to, it could be the fact that it's a total smokescreen, and we bring in somebody that we haven't even seen or heard of. So, is there anything else from you, my friend, that
no,
we've got to add to
no.
the
Let's hope
news
we
this
get
morning?
something happens, or we get some news of some description from somewhere during the course of the day. we're going to be struggling for something to talk about tonight, but we'll find someone. We
We'll
always
find.
do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's very little time that we have from our Geordie show, which was last night, and obviously you've got to just be careful of where we are if anybody's interested in watching the Geordie show, because obviously now the season's coming our way. The Geordie show will either be on a Saturday or a Sunday, because obviously it depends on when the matches are. So we'll be covering the matches, and on the evening after a match at 9 o'clock, we'll also be doing the review of the game, and that's for the audience. So again, what we want is audience
Well,
participation on that
I've just
to
got
come
some
on board.
breaking news. Breaking
Oh,
news.
yeah, bang, 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 bang.
In from the Chronicle. Malik Chow's agent breaks silence on Newcastle. The agent of Newcastle United target Malik Chow has shut down reports that his client has agreed personal terms with the Magpies in recent days. Unconfirmed speculation was spread far and wide on social media on Monday, claiming that ASA Chow had given a green light to move to Tyneside. Gordon Stippich, who is Chow's agent, was quick to publicly rubbish such reports. Quote, the current reporting about my client Malik Chow in connection with a possible transfer to Newcastle United is false and incorrect. I will therefore not comment on any further rumours.
Brilliant.
So that's fresh off the press.
And like I said, it surprises me that he's actually playing in pre-season friendlies if he's on the way out of the club, and that's why I questioned everything that was going on. Just Daniela's put in right towards the end here. If Newcastle want to be playing with the so-called big clubs like the City, Chelsea, 40 should
40
not
mil,
really
I think
be an issue.
Means.
Yeah, should not be an issue if you really want to play. I think. See, for me, you've got to be careful we don't get exaggerated with the cost of players. And I've often said, us, breaking that 63 million that we paid for Isaac, which is obviously our top price now. It would take some player, I think, to get that type of money in. We certainly wouldn't want to go and buy or start paying out stupid money if the player isn't going to improve the squad.
Isn't
or
worth
sit on the bench.
And that's what
exactly.
Our current setup is very, very focused on getting value for money. We're not just going to go throwing it around the way Chelsea and Man U have done.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't going to happen here. So you just that's why it takes a bit longer, probably. And if that's the case, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. So before, half the people will play FM, the world database of future stars of season stats. Ginger's coming here. Gary, half the people here play FM, the world database for that's Football Manager win. If you don't know what it is,
no, I didn't.
And a lot of statos. When you look at all the the people in the world now that know all these players from far afield play Football Manager on their computers and have got a massive database in their head about the way footballers play and everything else. Because the one thing about Football Manager is they try and make it as realistic as possible. There's obviously margins for error.
Like I say, I mean, obviously stats are very useful, very, very, very useful.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is they've got to pass the eye test. So until I actually see something with my own eyes, I won't be convinced one way or the other.
Yeah. Toon Talk's put in here that not paying 30 million fee for Coyote unless it drops. Another issue is he won't come to us as a number 2 right back. Like I said, it's stuff that they've got to agree to in terms.
I would say with any player, if you are saying you're not going to come as a number 2 and you think you're better than the person that you think you're going to be number 2 to, then do I want you? Because if you haven't got that attitude, I'm going to go there and I'm going to become number one. That's the sort of player I want to come.
Yeah. Just going to do this one. Darren Lee, game on Saturday. In the first half, you can see we need a new centre back. Well, we said that. The one thing with Kraft is positioning, mental positioning isn't always grand. And if you look at where his position should have been for that strike on goal from Nick Pope, and in actual fact, now we've got that on here. I'm sure I've saved that somewhere. Let's have a look at that, because to me that was one of, if not, here I have. Here we go. Let me just go on that. And what I want you to look at, buddy. Well, those that are watching the show, have a look at Kraft's position when this ball comes across, because you can see literally from what I'm going to put up on the screen now. When I get there, just like I say, I have to press umpteen buttons to get it on the screen before I can actually do anything. Because obviously he's more of a right back, and you're going to get that from Tino, who's still learning a trade, very much like Lewis Hall is. But for me, Lewis Hall was absolutely outstanding in the centre of the park, and I'm hoping, if I'm honest with you, we see more of Lewis Hall in the centre of the park, because he ran the show for me against Hull. And again, I know it's only against Hull, but you can only play the team that's in front of you. So I thought that was, like I say, that should just see where we have got weaknesses, and I think that's the reasons why they are desperately looking for a right-sided centre back, because God forbid anything happens to Shaw, if we go forward with Kraft, and like I say, yeah, he has played well in them positions, but he does create vulnerability as well. Like I say, if Trips goes, and obviously we've got Tino as well, because like I say, sometimes Tino can be left vulnerable as well, because and it's really strange. And what you saw there was the lad have one touch out of his feet and strike. So you can't just say that was Tino's fault. It was a combination of creating that space in front of him, because if Kraft had stayed where he was, once it goes over Dan Burns' head, Kraft had to make a choice whether to go to the player or stand his ground. If he stood his ground, he hadn't got the space there to take the shot off. But because he gambled on the player that was free, and again, you can't blame him for that, because he's got a choice to make. But sometimes, just on those quick breaks, we can have vulnerability on the right side as a centre back and a full back.
And
So yes, I agree.
A quick one from Geordie Dan there. Milan should give us a discount for selling us Tonali, knowing full well that the gambling charges were coming right round the corner.
Well, to be fair,
I mean that could have something to do with Newcastle's stubbornness, if in fact they are actually after Chow, which
yeah.
I've never heard anybody at the club mention his name.
No, there has been lots of chat about Chow for some weeks now, and obviously you've got Tamori as well, and that's a lot of their the centre pair for AC Milan. I did read in one of the papers that there was, I would say, a little bit of compassion. Maybe that's what we'll all use when it came to Newcastle and Tonali with AC Milan. They felt a little bit guilty of. I'm not saying guilty that they knew the fact that he was gambling, but guilty in the fact that the way it panned out. And I think that's the reasons why they're trying to obviously potentially have negotiations and not go over the top on any payments to come in that way. So again, it's what you believe in any of these stories at any one time.
A glass half full or a glass half empty, you take your pick.
Take your pick, exactly. So Darren's put down that I'm just going to put this one on, and then we're going to call it a day. It was good travelling support against Hull. Yeah, mate. To be fair,
yeah.
I was. If Hull had have used their brain, because it was half empty from their side, and given us maybe that one half of the stadium rather than the end, we could have quite easily took 9,000-10,000 down there, quite easily. So yeah, I think they've lost out on a bit of revenue, if I'm honest. But I suppose you've got to think of safety and everything else.
Our own Paul the Prof was down there. He gave us a roving report after the match on Saturday.
Absolutely.
And he said the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic.
But yeah, well, I watched a little bit of the highlights, and it was lovely to hear the Toon fans well above any of the Hull chants. So yeah, I must admit it was really cool. So yeah, guys, like I say, apologies that there isn't a lot of news out there, but again, we don't give you anything that's not sourced correctly. Thank you, Win, for your right-hand man again, because like I say, I know you've had a really busy morning and you've broken the world record speed train, travelled back to get on the show today, all the way from Wakefield.
Broke the world record to get there. the train
I wasn't going to say you've been a naughty boy at all. So that's your choice. Anyway, guys, again, this isn't a show without you viewing it. So thanks very much. And just before we go, please hit the like.
Smash those likes, folks.
And like I say, just ring the bell if you haven't been on before, because we do this 7 days a week. We do multiple shows over those 7 days a week. So if you ding the bell, you will be straight away. You'll be added to the shows from NUFC Talk TV and our sister channels, which is Football Uncensored, which talks about the Premiership. So anybody that's not a fan of NUFC and want to talk about their own club, that's listening out there, then come on Football Uncensored and talk about your club. That's Chris. He takes over that one. And again, like I say, if you hit the bell, you will be notified of all shows coming your way. But from this Monday afternoon, wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for listening and watching if you're on YouTube. And again, thanks, Win, for supporting me as always, because you are my right-hand man. And until this evening, it's a goodbye from him.
And it's a goodbye from him. How are the lads?
And lasses.